The mercury dichloride poured into Walter's mouth quickly took effect, and Walter felt more discomfort and pain. He knew that this must be the cause of the rapid deterioration of the kidneys. It wasn't until this moment that Walt really realized how much trouble he had caused to himself. He always felt that with his identity, status, and family background, he could walk sideways in any corner of the world. After all, relative to the $10 billion of family property, most things in this world seemed too cheap to him. When he was in the United States, he rarely caused trouble, but even if it really cost a human life, he could spend a few $1,000,000 at most and it would not cause him any trouble at all. If the poisoning of Mr. Simon was in the United States, once the East Window incident happened, he would only need to spend a few $100,000, and he could immediately arrange a scapegoat. Even if the whole world knows, how is it that he is instructing behind? He can find a strong enough relationship in the Judicial Department of the United States to put all the crimes on a scapegoat, and never let himself get into any trouble. However, the bad is bad, and he actually offended Charlie this time. Since Charlie is offended, it can't be solved with money. In just a few hours, Walter went from a strong young man to a terminally ill patient who had almost lost all mobility and could only lie on the floor and howl. The doctor arranged by Isaac in advance has been following up on Walter's physical condition. He will measure his blood creatinine every half an hour. In half an hour, Walter's blood creatinine value went from 75 at the beginning to 200, 500, 800, 1000, and even soon exceeded 1500. This number represents that Walter's kidney has been completely damaged. Subsequently, the doctor immediately put him on the dialysis equipment. Dialysis equipment, to put it bluntly, is a mechanical kidney manufactured artificially. When one's own kidneys lose their function, they use such equipment to replace the kidneys for complete detoxification and filtration tasks. Therefore, when the dialysis equipment was activated, Walter's life was saved. However, although his life was saved, he could not get rid of the dialysis equipment anyway. At the same time, New York, USA. In a skyscraper in Manhattan, a white man in his 50s is walking anxiously back and forth in his office. He is Walter's father, Steve Hogwitz. It was already 3 o'clock in the afternoon in New York, and Steve started contacting Walter at 9 o'clock in the morning. Until now, he has not been able to contact his son. Fearing that Walter would encounter any accidents in China, he contacted Walter's entourage, but these people were all missing without exception. Several other family executives who followed Walter to Orus Hill could still be contacted, but they had no idea where Walter went after the evening. In order to determine Walter's whereabouts, these executives immediately called the Orus Hill police, but the Orus Hill police did not find any trace of him either. This person is as if the world has evaporated. After Steve got the feedback, he immediately realized that the situation was very bad. He pressed the phone on his desk, and sternly ordered, "Arrange the plane immediately, I'm going to China," the next day. Orus Hill in the early morning looked no different from usual. More than a dozen people, including Walter, have disappeared. For Orus Hill, which has a population of nearly 10 million, it is impossible to make any waves. Charlie slept very steadily this night, and Elaine was responsible for breakfast, so he was still asleep at this time. At the same time, Leona alone drove from the father's mansion to the door of Changying's former residence. Since coming to Orus Hill, Leona would dream of Changying every night. Especially last night, she dreamed that she became Changying's wife, that Changying took her away from Eastcliff and came to Orus Hill, and she also dreamed that she would stay with Changying in the yard that was about to be auctioned. A happy life with the husband as his wife. It was because of this dream that she couldn't help but want to come to this old yard again to take a look. Leona parked the car outside, pushed open the dilapidated iron gate of the courtyard, and walked in. At this moment, she was thinking about Changying's shadow, and she didn't even notice that someone was in a secret place, taking pictures of her with a camera. 10 minutes later, Eastcliff Wade family. Zhongchen was excited to call a meeting with his 3 sons. The boss Andrew, the old son Chongyun, and the old Chongjun were notified and immediately got out of bed and hurried to Zhangchen's study. Zhangchen looked at his 3 sleepy sons and said with excitement, "I let you over here so early because I have found another good way to attack the Su family." Andrew asked in surprise, "Dad, is there any good way?" Zhangchen smiled mysteriously, picked up a tablet, opened a photo, handed it to the 3 of them, and smiled. "Watch it for yourself." Andrew and his 2 younger brothers immediately leaned over to watch them carefully. This is a picture of a woman, and it can be seen that the photographer used a telephoto lens and took it secretly from a relatively far-away position. Later, Andrew was the first to recognize this woman and exclaimed, Isn't this Sin Su's wife, Leona?" Old Chongyun hurriedly agreed, "It's really her." "Dad, what do you want someone to do to take pictures of Leona?" Zhangchen sneered. This time the Su family's reputation has been greatly affected by Ruoli's affairs. The old fox Chengfeng even betrayed his son Xin for his own reputation, and Xin also fled to Australia in panic. If we can add fuel to the fire, they will be even more uncomfortable. Andrew asked in a puzzled way, "Dad, what does this have to do with Leona? I heard the rumor that Leona is planning to divorce Xin." Zhangchen smiled and said, "Do you know where Leona is now?" The 3 sons shook their heads involuntarily. They have always regarded the Su family as a major enemy, but they have not paid too much attention to Leona, the Su family's daughter-in-law. Seeing all 3 sons, Zhangchen smiled indifferently, and said, "Leona is in Orr's Hill now." "Orr's Hill?" Andrew asked in surprise. "Is there anything weird about her presence in Orr's Hill?" Zhangchen pointed to the photo on the tablet and asked him, "Don't you know where this photo was taken?" Andrew looked at the dilapidated little yard in the photo seriously, and said blankly, "Dad, isn't this just a broken yard? Is there anything special?" Zhangchen sighed lightly, and said with a little melancholy, "This dilapidated little yard is where Changying lived in Orr's Hill." Andrew and the 3 brothers suddenly realized. Andrew was the first to react and sighed. Leona went to Changying's former residence. Is it because she still has feelings for Changying? Yeah, Zhangchen nodded and said, "In my opinion, it must be so." Andrew smacked his lips. Tisk tisk. This Leona is really infatuated with Changying. She ran so far to Orr's Hill just to take a look at Changying's old residence. Zhangchen sighed. Not only that, the yard Changying lived in will be auctioned off soon. Leona also signed up and will participate in the auction on Monday. Having said that, Zhangchen sneered and said, "This is a good opportunity for us to attack the Su family. As long as we get people to send out this photo, and at the same time, Leona's feelings for Changying are not enough, and she even wants to buy the old house of Changying. The message is also spread, and the last bit of face from the Su family will be gone."